Okay, hey folks, I've been doing some work making a personal project and using one of my favourite tools, which is Subdivide, and it's a tool I think is often overlooked apart from the obvious use, and so I thought I'd just do a little video about it for those who maybe aren't aware of how you can use it beyond the obvious thing, which of course is this. You subdivide, and this is the usual trick when you're doing something like making some sort of mesh cloth or what have you. You do your plane, you do your subdivide, and that's the way most people sort of know how it works. I ended up using it by accident on something, or figured out how to do something, and so I thought I'd just show you a few things where it really comes into its own, where you might not necessarily think of doing something. So let's use it as we always use it initially. In fact, I'm gonna add another edge cut in there just for the fun of it. So then I'm just going to delete these here. Delete the faces. I'm going to select everything and do a limited dissolve. So now in wireframe you can see we've got these, and so if I try to do a loop cut now, you just get the dot. It's really not useful. So what you can do is you can select edges. Select those two edges, subdivide. Select those two edges, subdivide, and then usually when I'm cleaning up Geo, I'll just GX, just snap them along, GY, just something like that. So that's one way of doing it, and I do that an awful lot, especially where, say, you've done a boolean and you've got bits of objects like panels in here. So if we say just do this, and instead of doing extrude, I usually just use inset and hold the control key. I find that personally easier to work. So you want to tidy up, you don't want all of these, because if we select that and go on the outside and Z, and let's stick a bevel on that, and we'll make it on an angle, and to 1. So you can see how it's wanting to resolve into the corners where the actual mesh is, where these are. And so in situations like that, to clean it up, what I'd do, select these three, subdivide, and then get rid of those edges. And now if we turn that back on, it just gives a bit of a cleaner result. It would help if I've got more than one thing. And let's set the geometry to arc. So, as you can see here, how it's trying to resolve in that area. So again, we'll select these three. I know you can't see it because of the bevel. Subdivide, and that it just makes it tidier. So that's one use I use it for an awful lot. You could do the same there. Subdivide, get rid of that, and again I just take that GX and just snap it to there. And so that's one way I'll use it. Very handy. Another way it's handy is if what you're doing doesn't naturally want to resolve into quads. So if we take this, and I'll do a limited dissolve, right, and I can't do a control R on here, it's because it's not quads. And if I try to do an inset using an outset, then it messes up the shape. So again, I'll take these here, subdivide them, and I've now got a nice loop cut all the way around that, and then I can GG that and pull it in, you know, and then I can do a loop cut there because now I've got nice quads. Do a bevel and along the faces, pull it in, and there you are. And the same here now, I could select these, go around, subdivide them, so I'm happy with that. Then I want to join these up, so I can just go around here and I can subdivide them. So you can see it's really useful in that respect of putting geometry where you want it, where a loop cut would normally fail because of it being an n-gon or something. Another way to use it, and I use this an awful lot, let's say you've got a cylinder or something, and I don't know, you're working with an existing model that you've downloaded, or you've just done something and realised you want more geometry. Go into face mode, select them, right mouse button, subdivide, then you can select those two and go to right mouse button, loop tools, circle. Make sure you have radius turned off because sometimes it can affect that, and all of a sudden you've got a much cleaner circle. Let me just turn that wireframe off. So that's a much cleaner circle. The same applies, say you've got a torus, and you've added a torus, and this isn't really what you want. Well, again, with subdivide in edge mode, the trick is selecting your edges and then your loops. So if I select that, and I've actually got select edge rings assigned to Control Alt left mouse, then I select edge loops and I subdivide, and you can see that's now added that. So if I undo that, I could do it the other way, select that, select the edge ring, select the edge loop, then we're going to subdivide that. That's going to add more things to the round. Do the same thing again, select edge ring, select edge loops, right mouse button, loop tools, circle. That's immediately smoothed out that section. Select your edge rings, select your edge loops, subdivide. Let's ramp that up. Do the same thing again, edge rings, edge loops, and now you've got a much smoother torus. So it can be used that way. And finally, another way of using it is if you want to do something unusual. So say I want to have a bit of detail on this, and I'm extruding along the normals, and up we go, all very pretty. I'll scale that up, scale on the Z, want it a bit thinner than that. Right, now again I want a clean run on this, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the edge rings, subdivide, that gives me that. I can now get rid of these corner edges. I'm just using Control X here to delete them. And now I select these, go onto the outside. Oh, it does help if I don't select right there. Right, and again, subdivide. And we'll make that 8. In fact, let's make it 12. And again, select them, In fact, just select edge loops. I'm using holding Alt and Shift click here, and I've got Control W assigned to loop circle. Bump. And then you can get something like that where you've got really clean topology on a piece where you've got a square and a circle. So there are various ways of using Subdivide that can really help you when you're working. And it'll apply everywhere, you know. I mean, I say even if we just take a plane and we just subdivide it a couple of times, and let's just do a couple of things here. You've got all of this, and we can do a limited dissolve to tidy it up. And again, this is something else you might find when you're doing cleanup, is you're not getting your lines where you want them. So you can select them too, subdivide that. And you can select these two, subdivide that, select that and that, subdivide that, and you can get rid of these edges. And you've got a cleaner thing. And the same here, you want that and that, and you just subdivide it. You want that and that, you just subdivide it. Oh, didn't mean to do that, sorry. That and that, subdivide it. Oh, it didn't like that. I've upset something there. Do a quick move bevel. Try that, that's better. I'd obviously done an extend instead of a subdivide. Again, we can get rid of that edge. You move those along. So once again, if you started doing bevels, that would bevel quite cleanly. So if let's bevel that. So you can see you've got issues here with the shading, so let's select those two, subdivide, turn that off, try again. Subdivide, and two, so select those two, subdivide, turn that back on. How we're looking better. So you see how I'm sorting out issues with the bevels there, just using Subdivide to quickly move, because it may not be easy to just use knife where you're just clicking on there and then you're having to move around to click somewhere else and hoping you don't catch something else in the interim. Whereas if I select two edges, I'm pretty much guaranteed to get what I want. Select them, subdivide that. So you see how it goes. Very useful, and it can really make things a lot simpler for you. So there you are. Hope that some people found that useful. As I say, it's a tool I use an awful lot when I'm modeling or cleaning up meshes. So see you guys, bye.